Okay, I'm Fernando, and today I'm going to talk about the type of questions that we can find in the class provided text. The first type of question that I'm going to talk about is the vocabulary section. Okay, in the vocabulary section, candidates will have to choose the most appropriate word, which is close to the meaning to the highlighted words. Candidates will face some words they have never seen before. So here we have an example. In this passage we can see that the word distance is gonna be replaced. So the answer is gonna be letter B, far away. But why? Just because the words impossible, observable, and fearful are not synonyms and they don't complete the context of the paragraph. Now I'm going to talk about reference. In this part of the test, candidates had to use pronouns and ideas in order to connect the sentences and give the same idea as in the passage. Here we have the example. In the passage we can see the word day. In order to know how to differentiate this word, we have to read the words before and after of this reference word. Now, here we have the options. So, the word day is gonna be replaced by letter B, thunderstorm. Why? Because in the complete passage it just says that thunderstorm gives support to the tornadoes. So in that way we can understand the complete context of the passage. Now, I'm going to talk about paraphrasing, another type of question in the TOEFL. Paraphrasing is a skill that allows to communicate the primary information in a different way, often using synonyms and using some word clauses. Now we are going to see the example. So we are going to focus on the third paragraph of this passage that is talking about scientific. So here we have the paragraph. In the paragraph is talking about how scientists determine the impact of the meteorite in the Earth. Let's go to the options. The question says how scientific determine. So, in this part, we are going to identify which is closest to the correct answer. The correct answer is gonna be letter B, because in the paragraph it's talking about how a unique layer of sediment was found and it helped to determine. Finally, we have sentence insertion. In this task, candidate must insert a sentences into the paragraph, giving position and coherence to the complete paragraph. So here we have the example. In this passage, we can see that it's talking about the Charles Darwin theory, a criterion. So in the passage, we have to identify where can we find a criterion is talking about. So the correct answer is going to be letter D, because in the paragraph, in the sentences before, is explaining the criterion of Charles Darwin in the theory of the evolution.
This part of the tutorial is focused on questions related to factual and negative factual information, rhetorical purpose, the summary chart, and schematic table. The TOEFL exam has 3 to 6 questions of factual and negative factual information, which worth 1 point each one. Factual information questions ask you to recognize information that is explicitly stated in the text. The exam provides the prompts shown in this slide, and those prompts will help you to identify in which sort of questions you are working on. The question tells you where to look for the answer, and the paragraph is already marked with an arrow. To answer, you have to look for keywords and synonyms. In this case, the keyword is backup, and the synonym of need is necessary. The next is negative factual information. This is similar to the previous question. They differ in which 3 of the 4 answers are true, and applicants have to determine which one is false. As in the previous case, some prompts are shown to identify the question in which you are working on. The exam tells you where to look for the information with an arrow. The next step is to find some clear keywords in the question. In this example, contributing to longevity is the key expression to look for. In the passage, you have to find information and relate it to the causes of longevity given in the options to identify the one that is not mentioned as a cause of longevity. The next topic is questions of rhetorical purpose. The exam provides from 0 to 3 questions of this kind and requires you to understand why the author has included a piece of information. The answer is not directly stated in the reading passage, so candidates need to understand the main point of the paragraph. The exam again gives some prompts to help you identify the type of question. There are 2 questions of rhetorical purpose, the one in which the information is highlighted and the one in which it is not highlighted. Let's begin with the highlighted ones. The key information is already highlighted, so you know where to look for the answer. Then, you have to look for signal words and phrases that relate the highlighted information and other ideas in the sentences surrounding the highlighted information. Now, it is time to analyze the questions in which the information is not highlighted. Like in the previous case, the questions tell you where to look for the answer. The first step is to look for keywords. In this case, we will look for Bushman. Once it is found, you have to read the paragraph. In this example, you can see a contrast between the rock and the Lascaux paintings. The next topic is the summary chart. The exam provides from 0 to 1 question of this sort. It works 2 points for 3 correct answers, 1 point for 2 correct answers, and 0 points for 1 or 0 correct answers. Identifying the question is very easy because it is the only one with a chart that has 3 options to fill. In the question, the first step is to read that thesis statement, so you realize which information is required. In this example, it is about meaning, location, and overpainting of Lascaux images. Then, you have to remember the information from the passage. The 3 opinions of scholars that are highlighted give you the necessary information to answer the question. The last type of question of the reading section of TOEFL is the schematic table. You can find from 0 to 1 question of this type, and it works 2, 3, or 4 points. This value is given in the exam according to the complexity of the task. To identify the question, you can read the prompt or simply look at the table which is different to the one given in the summary chart. These questions evaluate your ability to outline keyword information and recognize overall organization and moral points in the passage. This example worth 4 points because candidates have to choose 7 items, 2 more than in a normal question of this type. The schematic table has 2 categories. The first step is to identify which they are in order to choose the options. Once the categories are identified, the next thing to do is to look for them in the passage. In this case, our categories are opportunists and competitors. In conclusion, every single question has its own features that make it different from the others. Candidates should be aware of those characteristics at the moment of taking the exam to apply the most appropriate strategy will answer to the question. For further information, you can check the sources of the video.